Hey guys, welcome back to Reading with Marie. Today we are doing our first real book review, okay? Because I know people are kind of tired of the whole Harry Potter month thing. I'm definitely tired of the whole Harry Potter month thing. If you haven't seen those videos, they're on my channel. There's a playlist of them. You can, I guess, just click on that. But yeah, today we are doing our first book review. I have already actually filmed it once, and I didn't like it. I basically did a summary, and it was kind of rambly and annoying, and the light was weird, and the mic was off, and it was a mess. So I'm filming it again, and we're doing it a little bit differently, and so instead of giving a summary, because I don't want to spoil the book, I am just going to give you the pros and cons, I guess, of, what I thought about the book. Okay, so the book I read this week was called The Guinevere Words. Okay, so the book I read this week was called The Guinevere Deception. It's by Kirsten White. It was published in 2019, I believe. Yes, copyright 2019. And it is basically a retelling of the Arthur fable, the Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table legend. I got it actually from the Strand bookstore in New York. They have a book box, I think it's called the Book Hookup maybe, and they have a couple different themes. So they have young adult, which is the one I got it from, and then I think they have maybe a mystery box or whatever and something else. But within that theme, each box has a theme, so you get it 4 times a year. So this one was kind of a fairy tale genre, I guess. It has, usually the box contains an advanced edition, so a book that hasn't been published yet, and then a signed copy, which is what this one is, and then one other book maybe, and then they have, a postcard in there or a bookmark or something else. So, The Guinevere Deception, published in 2019. Let's just get into it. Okay, I'm going to start with the pros on this one. So, the first thing that I really liked about it is that it is a character-driven plot, not a plot-driven character. So it's told from the point of view of Guinevere, and she is not a reactionary character. She sees something and she does her own investigating. She doesn't just let things happen to her. So in the novel, this is kind of a spoiler, Guinevere is not who she says she is, and she's actually a witch, and she's been sent to protect Arthur. And so instead of just sitting and waiting for a threat to come so she can defend him, she goes out and actively searches for threats to try and end them before they attack. And so I appreciate that it is, again, a character-driven plot and not a plot-driven character. Okay, so the second thing that I really liked about this book is that while it included romance, it was not a romance novel. So yes, Guinevere is married to Arthur, and there's a love triangle with his cousin Mordred, nephew Mordred, because weird stuff happened. Nephew, not cousin. So there's this love triangle with Mordred, and, she has to pick one and whatever. But not all of the relationships in the book are romantic relationships, and they're not the sole focus of the book. So yes, she's got this whole love triangle, and she has to pick and whatever, but she also has, her lady in waiting, who she becomes really good friends with, and the patchwork knight, who she becomes really good friends with, and this other noblewoman. So it's not just she has to pick a boy. It's not the Hunger Games, okay, where the world is at stake and she doesn't know which guy she's gonna date. It's more than just pick between these two. There's more relationships in that, and there's more depth to her character than being a love interest who happens to be a protagonist. Okay, so my third pro, I guess, with this book is that it's a very fresh retelling of the Arthur legend. So a lot of times you get kind of a retelling of a legend or a fairy tale, and you already sort of know how it's gonna go. But in this one, I liked that it was not predictable, it was not, oh, she's gonna marry Arthur, and then she, might have an affair with Lancelot, and Merlin is there, and all this kind of stuff. It's not just this very, it doesn't stick to the script of the book. It's not exactly the same as the legend. Obviously, it is a retelling, so you can't expect any of it to be really exactly the same, but I like that the author took the parts of the Arthur legend that she liked, and then she kind of twisted and changed the parts to make it more of like a modern retelling. Not exactly modern, it's not set like in present day, but I assume you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, on to the cons of this book. There's not actually that many. I mean, I really did not have many problems with this book. I liked it a lot. But one thing I would say is that there was not a ton of representation for anything other than like people of European descent. It's very like, I know, it's set in England, okay? Or like present day England, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, like I know not every book can have the same kind of like representation as, say, maybe like a Rick Riordan book or something like that. But, the one character of color is attacked by wolves and almost dies, and that's basically the extent of his role, is to be like one of the king's best friends, and he gets attacked by wolves and almost dies. That's kind of his role. And then there's one LGBTQ couple. It's a lesbian couple, and I mean, it's great that they're in there, but they're separated the whole time. Like, they're not together. They can only see each other in dreams, and you don't really get to know anything about them. So while, yes, those characters are there, there's not, they're not central to the storyline, which of course not every book can have all of their diverse characters be essential to the storyline, but it just kind of felt like they were, I guess, afterthoughts. I appreciate that they were in there, but they're not as big, like, in the storyline as I would hope they would be. So my second thing with this book would be that I would appreciate like more backstory of where Guinevere came from and how she ended up marrying Arthur, since she's not who she says she is. I'm not gonna spoil the book, but I would have liked to know where she came from. This is more of like a personal preference. I mean, it's not like, yeah, like it's more of a personal preference, and there's more books, like it's part of a trilogy. So maybe there will be more, I don't know. And maybe there doesn't need to be. Maybe there does not need to be more backstory. But, okay, there's a hair. I hope you could not see it. Okay, so, that was weird. Okay, so the last thing I had with this book was that it had kind of an unsatisfying ending, right? Like it wasn't a neat ending, and you didn't really I wasn't satisfied with like Arthur and Guinevere's relationship at the end, and there's a lot of like loose threads. However, it is part of a series. It is part of a trilogy. I think I mentioned that before. The next one is called The Camelot something, and it was released in 2020, at some point in 2020. I have not seen it anywhere, but I have not been like going to bookstores, so that is probably on purpose, so that you will read the rest of the series. But if you're me and you can't currently because you don't own them, then that's sad. So okay, so that is it for my pros and cons. In terms of a rating, I would give it probably a 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. There was nothing that I would change about it, but it wasn't like life-changing. It was not a life-altering kind of, I have a new lease on life, or I understand something about myself. But it was good escapism, and it was a very it was a very well-written story, very entertaining, overall, very good book. In terms of like who should read it, online, a lot of people were saying 12 to 17 years old is a good range. I agree with that. I'm 16. I think it's not too dark for the 12, 13-year-old range. It's not super like advanced in terms of diction, so younger readers, I think it's very appropriate for tweens and early teens. I think you know, for late teens, for people that are kind of my age or a little bit older, it's not boring. It's not something that's like a little kid story and you're going to read it and be like, that was a waste of time. So it's, you know, it's not too advanced for younger kids, but it's not boring for teenagers and young adults, which I think is good, that it covers like more than just a 2 to 3 year range. But otherwise, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.